Polyrhythms. It was only a matter of time before I made this video, right? I feel like polyrhythms have this stigma of being something you use to make your music more complicated for the sake of being complicated and therefore showing off, which gets you down the classic slippery slope of polyrhythms and other such technical flashiness automatically makes something impressive and good, which is not true. Don't fall into that trap. Simple is not bad. Simple is just simple. That being said, polyrhythms are cool, they're a powerful musical device, and are worth learning how to execute. Polyrhythms are usually defined as two or more regular rhythmic patterns that occupy the same span of time but differ in their subdivisions. Some of the more common ones are 3 against 2, 4 against 3, maybe 5 against 4. As an example, with 3 against 2, you have 3 equally spaced pulses in the same amount of time as 2 equally spaced pulses. Polyrhythms are cyclical, and the cycle restarts when the concurrent rhythms land on beat 1 together. The goal with any polyrhythm is to feel it as one composite rhythm, rather than trying to perceive and follow its individual components simultaneously. That's not really possible. Once you can feel the composite rhythm, or what they sound like together, you're basically golden. But how do you get there? I'll demonstrate this with 3 against 2 because it's the simplest one. Whatever your two numbers are, you want to find their least common multiple, so multiply them. The least common multiple is going to tell you how many total subdivisions you're going to cycle through, but not necessarily play on. Basically, it's going to be your grid on which you place your attacks. In this case, we get 6. So because 6 is divisible by both 3 and 2, I can disperse equally spaced attacks for both on this grid I've made myself. When you go to execute this, you're going to want to perceive one of these as your main pulse so that you can focus on how the other fits within it. It doesn't actually matter which you choose because the relationship won't ultimately change. The relationship is what we care about. You're going to end up with the same composite rhythm either way. So if we say our grid is 8th note subdivisions, then maybe I feel this in 3. As I do this, I take note of where the attacks in my group of 2 are falling. The first one is on beat 1, and the second is on the and of 2. Pretty simple. So counting out loud and only playing the accented notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. While you're still working at this slow tempo, you should try switching between them individually as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. A little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. As soon as you start to push it faster, you can start to hear that composite rhythm. Ta ta dee ta 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 dee ta. Keep going a little faster. Switch hands. That's basically how you work these out. Here's a more complicated one. 5 against 3. My least common multiple is 15. Spacing out my attacks, I have 5 every 3 subdivisions and 3 every 5 subdivisions. Groups of 5 and groups of 3, which means I can feel this in either quintuplets or triplets. I'm going to go with triplets because that's a lot easier to think about. So counting out my triplets, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1. That's my 5. If we look at where the accents fall for the 3, I'm on 1, the of 2, and the and of 4. Let's try it slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1. A little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1. I'm starting to feel the composite now. Switch hands. Alright, so why should you practice these? For one, they're very good for developing your sense of rhythm and timing. That's huge. 2, they're a cool musical device. They're particularly useful for creating a sort of rhythmic dissonance, as opposed to a harmonic dissonance. They can make for some really cool and interesting grooves as well, like 5 against 3, where 5 is the kick and 3 is the snare. Practicing them makes you more precise at playing tuplets in general, like if you were to drop a quintuplet in the space of a triplet or something. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3. Basically, they help you expand your rhythmic vocabulary. That's never a bad thing. I like to practice them by writing little exercises for myself where I play complete polyrhythms on the guitar, like this one I posted on my Instagram a few years ago. You can go even deeper with these by working out polyrhythms with more than 2 concurrent patterns. That gets difficult fast. Some of the most insane polyrhythmic feats I've seen have been from Jacob Collier. There's one clip of him playing like a 24 against 23 polyrhythm, and there's another where he plays a 6 against 5 against 4 against 3 against 2, all with one hand. Crazy stuff. Anyway, have fun with all that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.